Hey y'all. So I am actually getting ready to start my classes for winter semester, but I thought about something and I wanted to share it with y'all. So I feel like my theme of last year was God giving me everything that I thought I wanted so that he could show me that I didn't. And it made me think of, that saying that when, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And in a it's going to sound weird when I say this, but in a positive way, last year was a shit show. It really was. Um, all of these things, right? All of these events, all of these things that I wanted to happen did happen. All of the things that I manifested did come to me. But I feel like God was like, let me give you everything that you think you want so that you can understand that my plan for you is so much better. So, let's see, where do I start? The first couple of months were cool. I'll say when we got to about May is when things got a little wonky for me. So, I started the year last year with a Kia Sorento that I had had for years, and I loved that car. And I had all plans on just paying it completely off. But because of the theft and the Kia boys, I was not able to get full coverage insurance on that truck anymore. And there was no way that I was going to pay that truck completely off for it to possibly get stolen. And then I have no car and I have no way to recover the car, right? So I told myself, I said, you know what? Okay, Mother's Day is coming up. My birthday is coming up. I am just going to upgrade my car, right? So I had purchased the truck through Carvana. So I sold it back to Carvana and they paid it off. And I ended up getting something else. And I had my eyes on the Infiniti QX60. I loved that car. I thought it was beautiful. I've had my eyes on it for a long time. So I found a 2020 QX60 on Carvana's website and it had 38,000 miles. And I'm like, cool, because when I bought my Sorento in 2020, it was a 2016 and same thing. It only had like 38,000 miles. So I hadn't had any experiences to make me second guess purchasing from them again or even selling a car back because I had sold another car through them and they honestly do give you above Kelly Blue Book when you buy a car from them. So I got the Infiniti. The process, I should have known, but the process from beginning to end this time around was beyond stressful. So there was other paperwork that they were asking me for. And I'm like, y'all, I'm self-employed. Like the last time you guys just asked for my bank statements, I submit my bank statements and they're like, oh, we can only calculate a certain amount of income. Okay. So Nick was like, sure, no problem. Nick co-signs for me, whatever. So, the car, I want to say, y'all, like I got the car on a Saturday. By Sunday, it was smoke coming out the car. And I was like, what the hell? And so Nick works in the automotive industry and he was like, it might be a head gasket, but you have, go get it checked. So I went to go take the car up to Infiniti because I had a factory warranty on the car still, right? I take the car to Infiniti and Infiniti is like, oh, it's $500 for us to even hook it up to the computer. And I'm like, for what? When I have a warranty. And they were like, oh, well, you have to pay the $500 up front. And then if the manufacturer confirms the warranty, then we'll refund it back to you. And I was just like, what? And so I told them, I was like, yeah, I don't have that today. I literally just got this car like 2 days ago. And so the man was like, well, the best I can do is $250. So then it really made me like side-eyed, like, so are you pocketing the other $250? Like, what are we doing? Right. And I'm not a person that can like, I don't question prices. I don't haggle or anything like that, but it just didn't make any sense to me. So I leave there. I call Carvana and I let them know what's going on. And they're like, well, that's weird, but go ahead and take it to one of the mechanics in our network. So that's exactly what I did. I took it to one of the mechanics in their network, which happened to be around the corner for me. And he looked at the car and he was like, everything is everything. He was like, the oil's a little low. I did top up the oil. But he was like, we don't have the tools to check and see if it's a gasket issue. He was like, but just by what you're telling me, it probably is. And so I told him thank you. And when I walked out, he pulled me to the side outside of the shop. And he was like, listen, he said, if you were my wife, I would tell you to go and give that car back. He was like, because if you're having head gasket issues this early in the game, you're going to have nothing but problems. And so I was like, okay. Now, mind y'all, I had looked at the Carfax. I looked at everything. It was one owner, but what I figured out just by like when I got the car, it was like stickers inside of the car, and I'm like, oh, they probably were using it on Turo or something. They probably had it under a lease, but they were leasing it out on Turo. So I ended up trading it in, and I ended up getting a Mazda CX-9, which ended up being a blessing in disguise because it had all of the features that I wanted. So I ended up getting the Grand Touring model. So it ended up having all of the features that I wanted. And, I ended up getting all of the stuff that I wanted on the QX60, because I ended up getting a QX60 Lux, not the Pure. So not the base model, but like the premium model. But this one ended up being 2 years newer, and it ended up being, it had like more bells and whistles on it. So like the QX60 that I had did not have like Apple CarPlay, which wasn't a big deal. But when I got my Mazda, I realized how much Apple CarPlay was actually it was resourceful. It was very helpful. So even when I got the CX-9 overall was okay. And thank God for an extended warranty, because it seemed like every other week it was something going on. Like, and there were minor issues, but I was just like, this is a brand new car. Like, what is going on? And I think that as patient as I thought I was, I really do believe that last year taught me a lot of patience. On top of that, I was frustrated because I was just like, I wanted to upgrade. I worked really hard. I never really do anything for myself around my birthday. So I was like, this is a Mother's Day birthday gift. And it just didn't, the experience was not what I expected it to be. After that, I ended up having a birthday dinner for myself. And the venue that I had originally chose, I chose that venue, and then we went somewhere for a friend's birthday. And I was like, oh, I want to have it there, because it was one of those like Black-owned like brunch spots where like they play like the trap music and all that. And I really wanted to turn up for my birthday, but I didn't want to go to like a club. So this was like the next best thing. And so the restaurant that I chose to have my party at, they had like a room. So they had like a little separate party room. Like you pay like $150 and you can reserve that room. And I had such a great experience when I went for my friend's birthday that I immediately was like, hell yeah, I want to have it there. The room already is like black and gold. And so I did like a whole little theme, made my flyer, all of that, right? Worst birthday ever. And y'all, I was so disappointed, because when I tell you I never do anything for myself, So we talking about hiring a babysitter for 3 children, my oldest, for my three younger children, hiring a babysitter for them. That was, what did she charge me? I think $60 a head, which is not bad. But so I'm already paying for a babysitter, right? I obviously do my own hair, but at the time I wasn't doing my own nails yet, so I had to pay for a nail tech. I paid for the venue, food, right? Whatever. Y'all, it was a mess. It was so bad that like every single one of my friends that were in attendance wrote a bad review, to the point that the owner herself had to call and reach out. And then it was so bad that she wasn't there that night, but her son was. And he literally like slammed the door of the restaurant and walked off on us. Like, I'm talking about a hot mess. And she did call back and try to rectify the situation, but it's like, I can't redo my birthday. Like, I can't do this over. You know what I mean? Like, that was a mess. Business was very slow this year. And I'm not saying that from a complaint perspective, because a lot of my clients are working moms, right? So, I do understand as a mother that you're going to have to make a decision between me and something that your kids need, right? So I get that. I'm totally understand. And I'm so grateful for, my regulars that kept the lights on. Okay. So there was that. I took this class, during my fall session. I'm literally like, this is my last semester before I graduate. Y'all, I was fighting for my goddamn life in that class. Okay. Fighting for my life. Oh, and let me back up. So also in June, I got proposed to. And it was the proposal I always wanted. Like, I wrote it down in my book. Like, I don't know if you guys know about scripting. So I scripted it out, what it looked like, what my ring looked like, all this stuff, right? Everything was perfect. Except months later, I realized that it wasn't what I wanted. And I want to say that was the hardest decision that I had to make of 2024. I literally like planned the whole thing out. My best friend brought me a planner. I picked out the colors, picked out a venue. But I had to realize, I feel like every single time I turn this camera on and get ready to start recording, it's either construction or the gardeners. So I'm going to pause this and go find another place to finish recording. All right, y'all. So hopefully it's not too loud in here because I'm in the back of the house. So hopefully it's not as loud as it was in the front. But so I had to be honest with myself and realize that while this was everything that I thought I wanted, when I really sat down and was honest with myself, there was a lot of things that needed to be worked on. I feel like things got very toxic after the fact. And I also realized that proposal or even marriage was not going to put a Band-Aid on the past maybe about 8 years of, how do I say this? On the past like 8 years of things that have transpired. That's the best way to explain that. The blessing, however, in all of this that entire year, is I learned so much about myself. I got back into doing inner child work. I really thought that I had completely healed little me. And this year taught me that there was a lot of things about myself that had not yet been addressed. I've talked about this in other videos, that my survival mechanism is to dump. Like I call it dumping, meaning that if something traumatic happens to me, my brain, as a means to protect myself, will forget it, which I now realize it's not forgetting it, it suppresses it. And so a lot of things were coming up for me. One of the things, I made another video on this, but one of the things that I realized was every single relationship that I have been in, and I'm talking about familial relationship, friendship, romantic relationships, even down to business partnerships, have been based on my need to feel like I need to prove myself, or I need to prove something, right? And this comes from my mother. Both of my parents were very strict. They were sticklers. They expected like damn near perfection. And it's something that I'm working through. Like if I get a B in a college course, I'm beating myself up because it wasn't an A, when you need a C average to pass. And I'm not even average. You know what I mean? So I look back and I realize, like, as a little girl, I was raised by my father. So I always felt like I needed to go above and beyond to be whatever I thought that my mom wanted me to be in order for her to be around, or to prove myself worthy for her to be around or of her love. 34-year-old me understands and knows that that's obviously no. As a child, your parents should just love you. That's their job, right? But I didn't get that. And I didn't get it in the way that I needed it and the way that I thought that it should be. And so I found myself, I realize now that I overplayed my part in so many situations, because even once I stopped looking for that from her, it almost becomes like habitual, where you do it with everybody. And I'll explain to you all what this looks like, what this would look like for me, right? So let's say that I'm in a friendship, and I also told you guys I struggled with low self-esteem. I didn't think that I was pretty growing up. So I end up in the group with the pretty girls. And in my mind, I'm not as cute as them, right? So I feel like I have to show up in other areas, right? So I'm the smart one, or I'm the talented one, or I'm everything, but I'm not the pretty one. So I have to be more pronounced in these other areas. When if this was my friend group, if these people aligned with me, if I was equally yoked with these people, I wouldn't have to do anything but just be myself. That's 34-year-old me that knows that, though. I had to go back and explain that to younger 13, 14-year-old me. Because I look back now and I realize a lot of these people would have never even been in my view if I had a better view of who I was, if I was more secure in myself, right? So I definitely didn't have a secure attachment style, because my earliest attachment taught me that if I wasn't what they wanted me to be, I wasn't worthy. That's just what it was, right? And so I look back, and when I tell you, like, it's happened in every single situation, like I really had this, I'm going to say this misstated belief that I could love people into treating me better. And it was the worst thing I could have ever did for myself. When people genuinely care about you, you don't have to do anything to make them care about you. You just simply have to be yourself. And I realized also this last year has taught me all of the love that I give to everybody else, I need to really truly give it to myself. And even when I lie and tell myself, oh yeah, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, I have to really ask myself, am I treating myself the same way that I treat others? And if I'm not, why? What part of me needs to be addressed, and what do I need to do about it? I look back, and the person that I became last year, I could tell you that about a good 85% of the people in my life, if I met them in this state that I'm in now, they would not be in my life whatsoever. I had to learn that too. I heard a quote from a pastor, and he said that you're so used to accepting the bare minimum. No, he said you're so used to settling that the bare minimum is exciting to you. And I was just like, well, just knock me off my feet, right? But it's true. I talk a lot about crappy childhood fairy, but I love her. It's like listening to her is like years of therapy, right? And it's like every single time I listen to her, the light bulb goes off. But she talked about how a lot of us, if we don't like sabotage the situations that we're in, we will settle for less because we almost feel like maybe not it's the best it's going to get, but it's better than the last situation. That's another thing that I learned about myself as well, is I ended up in a lot of these situations because I would look at things and I'd be like, well, at least they're not doing this to me. At least they're not doing what the last person did. So while I technically was choosing better, I still wasn't choosing what I deserved as a person. I wasn't choosing the very thing that I was giving to people. I wasn't receiving that back. And I learned, I think that the thing that has me most excited about what I learned last year is the ability for me to now say, that doesn't work for me. And it's no hard feelings. I don't feel any kind of way. I don't feel like anybody's less than or anything like that. It's just that it doesn't work for me. And I ask myself all the time, like, I'm only getting older, right? I think I told you guys, I'm in this weird, like, midlife crisis state right now. I'll be 35 this year. I know it's not old, but it's the oldest I've ever been, right? So I literally, every situation that I have been exposed to, I ask myself, is this something that I can live with for the rest of my life? And if the answer is no, it has to get away from me. It's just what it is. I did a lot of grieving. I did a lot of grieving people that were still alive. I did a lot of grieving the life that I thought I was going to have. And baby, when I tell you that the mustard seed in my pocket is probably tired of me, I go to God about everything. Everything. God, I don't know. God, I'm scared. God, I'm frustrated. God, this ghetto. God, fix it. Like, and I think that's like the greatest gift of last year, is that all of these things brought me back home. They all brought me back to God. They all reminded me that, hey, every single time you put your greasy fingers in something, it never works out the way that you think it does or you think it will. So like, sit back and let God do what God is going to do. It's not your damn job. It's not your job. If you say you trust God, let God do what God is going to do. And I do believe that faith without works isn't dead. Faith without works is dead, right? But at the same time, like, still, if I had to remind myself that when I don't know what to do, just don't. Just don't. Because when I'm trying to do things and figure things out myself and God has not told me to move yet, it's like walking up or down the escalator. And I just be out of breath and frustrated for no reason. It's something I feel like this year, I feel like I almost jumped a broom. Like once midnight hit just things just felt different. Like I anything, I'm talking about content that I see, negative comments, whatever, I don't even respond. I used to like say some smart shit back, or I would like, depending on what the context was, I would try to like get people to see my point of view. And I saw a video today and this lady said, stop explaining yourself to demons. And pretty much what she was saying was like, any hurtful thing that someone is doing to you is intentional, especially if they keep doing it. So stop explaining to these people what they did to you, because they know what they've done to you. And that's literally my theme this year. I'm just going to leave you alone. I'm just going to leave you alone. Once you show me that you don't need to be around me, or you're not a healthy part of my life, or you're not going to add any value. And I think a lot of people think value is just your money or your resources. No. If you take from me, you have to go. You have to go. I give so much. If you're not adding and you're just constantly subtracting, you got to go. I'm not mad at anybody. I have no hard feelings. One of the things I've been working on is I tend to ruminate about the things that people have done to me. And now when those things come up, I say a prayer for those people and I just release them. Forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do. Because if you had someone like me in your life and you truly knew what you had, you wouldn't mistreat me. You wouldn't mishandle me. Because I know who I am. When I know what I bring to the table, baby, I am the table. So that's the place that I'm operating in. If I continue to hold on to the things that people have done to me, how could I possibly make room for the people that God has that are now aligned with my spirit now? So hopefully this spoke to someone else. I just felt the need to share with you guys. I'm wishing you guys all a blessed 2025, and I'll definitely be back with more videos in the future. Talk to y'all later. Bye.